Jeff's Computer Show, and I'm your host, Mr. Clean. Today, we're going to be turning this 98 Windstar into a real RV. And the first thing you need to do is install a vent fan in the roof and make sure that hinge goes toward the front so it opens this way. So I got this ready to install. It's pretty simple, really. Just cut a hole in the roof, and yeah, the roof is the only motor vehicle I own, and then screw this down. But I examined it first and found a flaw. Always look at stuff carefully before you go ahead and put it together. You want to test it. So let's take a closer look at what I had to do, and then we'll get up on the roof and mark that and cut it. You see down in here where it says DC, the spot welder missed, and I had to drill a pilot hole and put a sheet metal screw in there, otherwise the fan would have been laying against the screen. So that solved that problem, and now this whole thing is getting ready to install. We just have to mark out the roof and then drill a hole. It's 14 inches by 14 inches, and fortunately the side support bars under the roof here are 15 inches apart, so it was pretty obvious I was going to drop it right between them. First I measured a 14 by 14 inch hole and drilled out a corner hole at each corner to use my saber saw to cut that out. Then I laid down some duct tape so I know where to follow where the edge is. Now we're ready to cut. Now I've cut the hole, and as you can see it's a little bit ragged, but the old saber saw did a pretty good job. I only had one blade, so I better not break it, and I used a 50-year-old Craftsman saber saw. And I think the blade was 50 years old too. Now one more thing I'm going to do is I'm going to touch up the exposed metal edges here with some red Rust-Oleum paint. I'm going to dab that on with a brush, and since I couldn't get it in a can, I'll just spray some from the spray can into the lid, and I'll dab that with a brush, because you want this sealed. Water is not going to get under there, but you never know about condensation. So this edge here, right here, will be painted by hand before I cover this up. Otherwise the bracket is going to hang over at least this far for the screws. Gosh, it's noisy around here. Well, here we are at the end of the day. This is just a temporary mounting. I wanted to drill pilot holes for the four corners. I have to put putty tape yet under the shroud all the way around the edge, and then drill and insert the remaining holes. Otherwise, it's just about done. All that remains is to go inside and insert the shroud that fits up against the ceiling that makes it look nice and professional. I may have to glue that. It's going to be a tight fit, even though it is only a ½ inch thick. But that's phase one. Next we go on to the floor. It's going to be a little harder. Putty tape is now in place. All I have to do is screw down the vent. I drilled some pilot holes for the four corners, but I'll have to drill each of the screw holes one at a time. Well, there's the finished product. All it needs now is a tube of lap sealant, and treat each one of these screw heads and then all of these seams all the way around the vent to seal it up for good, but the putty underneath there will keep any water from getting through.